Hey, hello there and welcome once again to my channel. On today's video we are going to compare the two main methods to scan your own negatives at home, the DSLR method versus the flatbed scanning method. And I'm going to share with you what I think is the best way to get you started, and I will also tell you the things I wish I knew when I started doing this myself at home. Now roll that intro. Now, we have two main methods when it comes to scanning your own negative at home. We have the DSLR, which is the one where we use our digital camera, versus the flatbed scanner. And it seems that the general consensus out there at the moment is that you can get better results by using the DSLR method. So let's start with this one. Initially, this method might seem attractive to you because chances are that you already own a digital camera. But what I want you to understand from this video today is that in order for you to get very good results that you could compare with the quality that you would get with a flatbed scanner or even have higher quality than that, you will have to make an important investment in the equipment, because just having the digital camera is only the beginning for this setup. What we will do is to list what things you will need, and we will also add the price on each of those components. So at the end we will compare how much money you will have to invest on this system as compared to getting a flatbed scanner. Number one. The number one thing you will need, apart from your digital camera of course, is to have a macro lens. And this is because we want to fill out the sensor of your camera as much as we can to get a high resolution picture. So we want to come very close to those negatives. But the problem is that the macro lenses are not cheap. If you're lucky enough to own a Nikon camera or a Canon, and if you find some vintage lenses or secondhand, you might get a good lens for £200. But if you own other systems, like for example Sony or Fujifilm, then you are looking at least £300. And sure, you might think that you could just add one of those extension tubes into your normal lens, and this works with a limited quality because the problem is that when you use extension tube, the focal plane of your lens is not completely flat, so you will get a bit of blurry edges on your picture, like the example that you can see here that I'm showing you now. So anyway, let's add that price to the list, £200 to £300 for the macro lens. Number two, you need a good light source. So you will have to get a lighting board or a light box, as some people call it. But luckily this one is not too expensive and you can get a small one for around £20 on Amazon. But still, we need to add it to the list. Number three, keeping your film completely flat is extremely important. So we need a negative or a film holder. And sure, you can make one yourself, but this is easier said than done. You need to build something yourself if you want to go for this option that it will make sure that your negative is completely flat. If not, you will have to go for a commercial version. And these ones, they also don't come cheap. One of the most accessible ones is one called pixl-latr. I will leave you the link below if you want to check that out. But this one starts at £50 per holder. And there is also one holder called the Essential Film Holder that's also kind of accessible, but this one also costs £65. So in any case, if we want to go for a good quality holder, then we also need to add that to the list. So we have £50 more. Then, in order to have your camera perfectly parallel to that plane where your negative is, you will need either a copy stand or a tripod. Copy stands, surprise surprise, are also not cheap. So if you want to get a cheap copy stand or build your own, it will cost you around £100. And if you want to go for a tripod, then you cannot use the basic tripod because you need those kinds of tripod that allow you to tilt your camera 90 degrees so you can face directly the negative. So whatever the case is, you probably have to invest in around £100 at least to get this kind of holder for your camera. Once you have put all of these elements together, you will be able to finally take an acceptable and good quality picture of your negative with your digital camera. But now it comes a very important step. We need to convert that negative into a positive. If you shoot mainly black and white, you can get your weight by using many of those pictures editing software out there, like for example Lightroom or other free versions. But if you're shooting color negatives as well, then the story is a bit different, because then most likely you will need a software which is dedicated to do this conversion, so it will give you the right color profiles, contrast, and so on. The most common software that people use to do this is called Negative Lab Pro, Let me show you now quickly how this software works. Negative Lab Pro is actually an Adobe Lightroom plugin. So the first thing I do is to head there. And as you can see here, I have many negatives which I have scanned using the DSLR method. So let's convert this picture. The first thing I need to do is to adjust the white balance. And I do that by using the drop tool. And I click in an empty space on the negative, and then we need to use the cropping tool to remove the excess of the image that we don't need. That's why I was recommending to you that you need to have a macro lens to get the best results you can. Then we head into Files, and then we head into the option of Plugins and select Negative Light Pro. You have some basic settings to put at the beginning, like for example what kind of color profile you want to obtain based on that type of scanner. And then you just click Convert the negative. The Negative Lab Pro does its thing, and there you go. And then you can make further adjustment, as you can see here. This is the trial version, so I haven't bought this software myself. That's why I have only 9 pictures left to do the conversion to. As you can see, this software does offer a one-click solution to converting your negative. But in some instances you might have to do adjustments anyway. And this is the same that they do in the labs when you send your negatives to scanning. Also, before you can convert the pictures, you could see there we have to crop it and we have to set the white balance. So it does have some intervention from the user. And even though this is a very good software, and if you decide to go for the DSLR method, I strongly recommend you to get it. This software doesn't come for a cheap price, and it costs a whopping $100 as well, which we need to add into the list. So there you have it. If you want to assemble a system for using your DSLR method properly, and which quality will be similar or better than using a flatbed scanner, you are looking at spending around 400 to 500 pounds. Now let's talk about using a flatbed scanner for scanning your negative. And the main thing and the main advantage of this method is that you just need to get the scanner, and that's it. The Epson V600 is one of the most commonly used, and if we have a quick look at eBay, you can see that you can get one between 250 300 pounds, depends. But the advantage is that you will have everything contained in one unit, and you can do everything from beginning to end on the same system. And this is the thing I wish I knew from the beginning, because for me, I started by using my DSLR camera to scan my negative, but I didn't have all that setup that I mentioned to you before. So I, for a very long time, got kind of mediocre results by using this method, and I wish I just had invested on a flatbed scanner from the beginning. The Epson V600 is actually the top of the line, or close to the top of the line, but for example, I got an Epson V500 which I found online second-hand for 150 pounds, and even though I'm aware that this is not the best I could get, it does give me very consistent and very good quality result for just one self-contained unit. And so far I have been using the software that comes with the Epson scanner, but if you purchase a software called Silverfast, you can even get better results, because that company have made specific profiles for each specific type of color film stock, which will give you a better color accuracy and a negative reproduction. So there you have it, that's my recommendation. Even though initially the DSLR method looks appealing because you probably own a digital camera, I want you to be aware that in order to get good results, you will have to invest in specific pieces of kit, and then you will be able to have a proper system. One more thing I want to mention as well is that people normally argue that the DSLR method is faster than scanning using the flatbed scanner, but this is kind of relative, because chances are that you don't have enough space to keep the whole DSLR setup assembled at all times. So every time you want to scan your negative, you will have to take out the copy stand, the camera, the film holder, the light, put the whole system together, and then you can start scanning, and then again and again you need to do the same. On the other hand, the scanner will always be on your desk, and you just can start working with it as soon as you need it. So I think that point of the time is a bit relative. Also, if you are like me, that you shoot one roll, then you develop, and then you scan, it's perfectly fine. It normally takes me around 45 to 1 hour to scan a roll of 36 exposures in a very good quality. So I think that's not a problem at all. But if you perhaps have thousands of negatives to scan, then maybe the DSLR method would save you some time. Well, just before I go, I will leave you with a few photos that I have scanned using my flatbed scanner. If you have any question or if you like to discuss something about this topic, please don't hesitate to leave your comment down below, and I will see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching. Hello there and welcome. Oh my God.